close, from my mind to and around, with my ear up to the ground. I'm searching to behold the stories that I told when my back is to the world that was smiling when I turned. Tell you you're the greatest, but once you turn, they hate us. Oh, the misery. Everybody wants to be my enemy. Spare the sympathy. Everybody wants to be my enemy. Look out for yourself, my enemy. Look out for yourself, but I'm ready. Words up on the wall as you're praying for my fall, and the laughter in the halls, and the names that I've been called. I stack it in my mind, and I'm waiting for the time when I show you what it's like to be worth spitting in my. Tell you you're the greatest, but once you turn, they hate us. Oh, the misery. Everybody wants to be my enemy. Spare the sympathy. Everybody wants to be my enemy. Look out for yourself, my enemy. Look out for yourself. Look, okay, I'm hoping that somebody pray for me. I'm praying that somebody hope for me. I'm staying where nobody supposed to be, but I posted, being a wreck of emotions, ready to go whenever, just let me know. The road is long, so put the pedal into the flow. The enemy on my trail, my energy unavailable. I'ma tell them, hasta luego. They wanna plot, I'ma try to the top. I've been out of shape, thinking out the box. I'm an astronaut. I'm blasted off the planet rock to cause catastrophe, and I'm mad as more because I had it in my head. I thought about wreaking havoc on an opposition, kinda shocking. They wanted static with precision. I'm automatic, quarterback. I ain't talking second, pack and pack it up. On panic, batter up. Who the baddest? It don't matter, cause we just everybody wants to be my enemy. Spare the sympathy. Everybody wants to be my enemy. Oh, the misery. Everybody wants to be my enemy. Spare the sympathy. Everybody wants to be my enemy. Pray away. I swear I'll never be the same. No way. Pray away. I swear I'll never be the same. No way. My enemy.
Welcome everyone to the Andy Says MD show. Thank you so much for joining. We have a lot of enemies. I'm here with Jon McGreevey running for U.S. Senate. And what the hell is going on, man? You got poisoned? Can you like...
Yes, it did.
Whoa. How's that work?
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah. So yeah, what type of enemies are you making, Jon?
Well, local, interstate, and federal, same as usual. This comes from an undercover job, my last one, believe me. That's where that happened. Just recently, actually, this week, last week, Mr. Profiter runs Elks Lodge and other things in Frederick County. He was kind enough to invite me out to speak as a candidate. And great facility, wonderful people out there, huge. And I didn't realize just how debilitated I still was until the following morning. It's kind of like drinking all weekend, waking up like, oh, what did I do? Oh.
Yeah, I think we all know that.
Yeah, but I did okay. And if you say I did okay, that's being kind. I had there is video, so it's not going to end up in a blooper reel, but it's not bad. But I was up there and I'm talking a mile a minute, and then people were asking me questions, which I appreciate, and many of them were serious questions. And you can see me, I'm turning sideways, I'm squinting because I'm seeing double, and I'm trying to look through one eye, listen with one ear, because I was feeling the effects of the poison still. And I got through the questions. There was some extreme stuff. I talked to him earlier. There was some really nasty people. There was people there representing another candidate, and that's fine. But you don't have to be nasty about it. You don't have to flip me off when I'm talking. You don't have to scream stuff. But that's to be expected. You get worse online. I get 100 plus hate mails a day. Hate emails. And the guy in the back was trying to get me to say I'm going to shoot people on the border. That was his stance. I talked to some people beforehand, and one guy said, I hate illegal aliens. I'm going to shoot them on the border. Put the National Guard out there. Not doing anything. Shoot them as they come across. I'm like, oh, wonderful. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. Thank you.
And I was there,
but,
so I can attest to this. This was probably the weirdest political speech ever. Not just because of Jon, but because of the questions that were asked of him. It was more ranting from people generally than it was serious questions. They were trying to paint you into a corner, it seemed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if
they were trying to.
Or not.
Well, I mean, some of them were just irritated with life, and others were representing another candidate, so they were trying to get you to commit to something nasty on tape and use it against you. And they're firing off questions that have nothing to do with any discussion we're having. And then there was a mild threat at the end. I'm like, okay, whatever, we're done. Thank you. But I was kind of bent over and listening one eye, one ear, and it wasn't, I did okay. And then another 4-hour drive home. So the next morning, I'm like, oh, no. But it was a really nice facility. I hope I'm invited back again. The poisoning. Mr. Prophet actually introduced me. He introduced me as recently poisoned.
The recently poisoned. Like, why isn't this in the headlines? Like, you're a U.S. Senate candidate, and like
you would think so.
You got poisoned, so why isn't mainstream media pick this up, or mainstream media, or whatever? Like, why do we have to do this right now?
They are too busy with Pennsylvania, I suppose. It is a felony. It's against the U.S. Code to threaten, intimidate, attack, coerce, bribe, things like that, a elected official or candidate to get them to stay quiet on the issue, sway their vote, things like this. Keep them quiet, not expose something. Now, a little over 2 years ago, I took a undercover job. I've done this in the past. We've discussed this.
Yeah.
And this was because there are people, Maryland is suffering because of the violence in Baltimore. Every day, shooting, murder. And as bad as that is, it's horrible. It's about to get worse because the current leadership in Baltimore has washed their hands of it. They're done. And they're begging the feds to come in and handle it. And the feds are all too happy to come in. So what we're about to get is a federal police force in Baltimore. And they've asked for it. Yeah, federal police force. Imagine that, okay? We got our own KGB coming into Baltimore because they don't know what to do. They're not doing anything. So they begged them to come in, and they're coming. So I knew this was coming a while ago. So to save lives. The people in Baltimore are not killing each other over parking spots, okay? It's drugs, it's drug money, it's things that, revolve around that. So I started tracking the drugs. If I can stop the drugs coming in, there's no reason to kill each other. So that's what I did. Took this job because this group of people and these businesses are dirty and they ship drugs through there. There are huge shipments of drugs coming from Jersey, from Pennsylvania, Delaware, things like this into Maryland. And they're changing hands at many of these locations where I was working undercover. You would have 200 to 300 pounds of drugs, heroin, fentanyl, mixed, whatever, stashed on the end of the building. And it would change hands there from, the people who run it through the states into the people who take it into Baltimore and some on to D.C. But this is where the major shipments are coming from. Are there other sources? Of course. So I was going to drive out and get something here, whatever. There were a lot of people in Baltimore driving out to the people in the counties who got a piece of whatever this was. But if you can stop the major stuff, you can save lives. And that's what I was doing. And I worked undercover at different locations, but it was an adult store. There were several of them. Working there, they put in a new system. We talked about this. Yeah. And it was going downhill. Now, the person who owns this owns a lot of them in different states. and there are different front companies running them and stuff. But they put in a video system in the back in these private booths where you could access child pornography. And if you paid enough, you could even do it live and direct it. You could tell them what you wanted. They could even see you if you wanted them to on a smartphone. And we said before that it has grown exponentially just since it documented everything. Just since it talked to law enforcement, local law enforcement, it has documented, it has exploded. It's everywhere. It's now starting to spread in England and Europe, the same systems. It's all over the U.S. They are bragging that they're in 90 different locations, and they have 1,000 plus machines. They're in every state now. It's coast to coast. It's gotten so prevalent, so profitable and safe to abuse children online this way. You can't be caught. That they're actually advertising on Twitter, where you can buy these codes to watch the stuff. And that's how comfortable they are with it. You go online, do searches for these places locally. They have like chat rooms. The people are putting up pictures of the kids that they have online, and their favorite movies, their favorite kid, and they're putting pictures of them up there. I mean, they're not worried about it at all because they're not being caught. This doesn't track to their phone or their home, so they're comfortable. So we put up some videos about it and said in the video that this is a big campaign issue for me. I'm not going to sit back and let children be abused. So the manager of the store where I was working saw these videos. She had to have some emergency surgery, and while she was convalescing, she found the videos online. So the secret was out. I had a lot of people tell me that I should leave. They know who you are, know what you're doing, it's dangerous. And I said, I don't feel like I'm done yet. It's like something else, whatever. I said, I'm very careful when I come in, careful when I leave, things like this. Nothing here leads back to family or anything. I'm very careful. It doesn't feel like I'm done yet. Well, I was supposed to start a shift 3 to midnight. And I had some errands to run first, but some of them fizzled out, so I got there early. I got there over half an hour early for the shift. I got there about 2:20. And when I went in, there was a whole group of men and a young girl over by the ATM machine. Well, nobody's allowed, even on the premises, even in the parking lot, who's under 18. This was obviously wrong. So I went off, and I found out that they were prostituting that girl in the back, in the booth area, where they show these movies. Most likely, they were filming it and putting it online to make even more money. But I got her out of the store, separated her from all the guys over there, got her out of the store. She told me she was 11. The most horrible stuff. Now, in the back, this girl, she was a tiny girl, very cute little girl, pretty girl, but she was nude from the knees up. She had no top on or anything, and her jeans and underwear down around her knees. And she had taken care of about 15 or 20 guys in the back, men, grown men. If that's hard to hear, too bad. Think of how hard her life is. So they had to get her shirt, cover her up. She had a hoodie, whatever. Got her out back. I stayed out there with her and near the door because there's predators out back too. And she told me that it was her grandfather and her father who brought her up here to do it. The 2 guys she was with in there. Now, she was in the booth. They'd done this before. And she was supposed to be gone by the time I came in, so I would never find out. But I came in early. Everybody was at the ATM because they were getting money out. They were getting a couple $100 out so they could go back in the theater with her. And you know what was happening back there?
John, I'm showing the picture now of the girl you're describing.
All right. Now, we're not showing her face, obviously. The young girl's had
I was just going to say that.
Very
can't
rough
do
life.
That, but I can
No, and there's other pictures, and I'm not showing those. Much more graphic. But you'll see in the picture, it's about her from the, stomach down. And you'll see the wall she's standing against. Now, it's pink and black. That black stripe is only about 4 feet tall. So you can see she's a young girl.
Yeah.
And if you look closely, and I apologize, but I really don't care at this point because it's still happening. If you look closely, the front of her sweater that she's wearing is covered in semen. Okay?
Yep.
So you can see it. Blow it up, look at it, it's there. If it makes you uncomfortable, it should.
Absolutely.
I worked that shift. I got all this done, got him out of there. Her father ran because I went after him. He ran, jumped the car, took off, left them there, and they disappeared. I called the cops. I'm not putting up with this crap. I worked the shift. And I had guys coming back for the next 2 to 3 hours with money. They'd gone out to their bank, their home, wherever, and gotten the money, $200, to go in the back theater and have sex with her, intercourse. Okay? These are grown men. And they came in looking for her. That's how many of them. So overall, you're talking about 40. Now, I called the police. I called local police. Let them know. And for some inexplicable reason, they assigned a detective. Now, they didn't even do it. They didn't even want to hear it. We had to go through feds, and they called in a favor and got a detective assigned. They called in a favor, and the local police assigned a detective. Now, this detective has a terrible history of working these kinds of cases. He's the cover-up artist. He makes problems go away, especially in an election year.
Oh, yeah.
And his history will tell you, if you look at his case history, if he's investigated a case where there's a boy abused, then he'll go to the wall, prosecute as much as possible. But if there's a girl of any age, his response is, well, she's going to do that stuff her whole life. It doesn't matter when she starts. And he will stop an investigation. He will mess it up on purpose so that it stops. He'll drop charges. He'll drop investigations, so a prosecutor has to drop charges. This is who they assigned.
And then what
I've
did,
been gone there.
yeah, what did
What's
he
that?
do to you? We talked about this before the show. Like, how did he mess up
Well,
this investigation?
Well, I mean, the term would be he greenlit me. Now this is a couple weeks after it happened. So we finally had to go through the channels and get somebody involved. He shows up right at work. Him and someone else shows up right there. At this point, it's a Saturday. It's the following Saturday, 2 weeks later, and I'm still employed there. And I'm documenting the people who come in looking for her. I'm getting tag numbers, everything. And because I'm hyper pissed about what happened. He comes in the middle of the place and announces that he's there to see me by name and tells the manager he's there to discuss the incident that happened a couple weeks ago and discusses it by name. Now, in prison, they call that green lighting somebody. Okay? And right after he left, the manager started their crap about firing me, went to the district manager, and they fired me. Now, they fired me for their legal reason, was a no call, no show. I didn't show up for my shift.
Oh, I wonder why that was.
Yeah. I didn't show up for my shift because they poisoned me and I was near death.
Before you get into that
No.
part, and it's super heavy, I just want to attest to this right now because John notified me right after all of this happened. And I was so upset. Like, I was just pacing back and forth through my house and losing it. Like, I wanted vigilante justice because I feel the same way John does about all of this. It's like, as soon as you mess with kids, it's over for you. We do have the proper channels to investigate these things. We do have the proper channels to prosecute these things and jail people for these, or even, capital punishment, which, that's a whole nother issue, but I think that should certainly be implemented again. But I'm so angry because this is the message that I want everybody listening right now to hear. Just imagine this picture right here is your daughter or your son being used and abused on a daily basis. Where is this little girl right now? What are her father and her grandfather doing at this moment? What is she doing? What are they putting her through? Everybody needs to get, like, I can't even say it. So pissed off. It's just like the bottom or the least flagrant way to say it. We've been doing this for months, exposing these predators, this system of trafficking, Jon has been at the forefront, and that's why he is suffering the consequences. Still, I know you still have symptoms. So you were poisoned.
I feel like I got a spike in the back of my head. Yeah.
Yeah, you were poisoned. Please continue. I'm sorry,
Yes.
I had to just...
No. I mean, I was, like I said, I was hyper pissed. Once everything calmed down, everybody had gone, I called law enforcement. I did what I could at the time. Of course, management got mad because I didn't notify them. It's like, you're the one bringing the kids in. I'm going to tell you for. I've told them before. They actually put in a tweet how I told them before, and they have warned me not to call law enforcement. They actually put that in the tweet. I have it. Okay. So it's like stupid, but I called home. I was hyper pissed. Like I said, I called her. My wife's first thing she said was, "What's wrong?" Because she hadn't heard me like that in years. Because I'm not pulling punches. I was going to burn their shit down that day. I didn't care. So anyway, especially every couple of minutes, you got another guy coming back holding the money up, offering me a $50 to go in the back because they thought she was back there. So I was not pleased. Anyway, they got rid of me. They tried to really get rid of me. We're going to talk about the poisoning, but I have contacts in and around there. Now, I was fired. I'm not there anymore, but I've had people contact me and say that other children have been brought in. Now, they're showing the movies in the back. They're making movies, putting them up for even more money. You can make a movie one time, get paid every day on it. But the store closes at midnight, and the manager will come in 2, 3 in the morning, turn off the alarm, go to back, and let people in the theaters in the back, because in the back there's no cameras, no motion activated lights, anything like that. And they let them come in there, so that way there's no record. These people are paying a lot of cash to come in and have a party with a kid. And that girl, I've seen a picture, she's been there before. Now I took her out of the store, got her away from everybody, got her dressed, got her out back, and I'm talking to her. And she's the one who told me she was 11. She told me I was her father and grandfather. She was scared. Now, the other side of the picture, I'm not going to show her face, but she was bawling her eyes out. And she wasn't scared of me. She wasn't scared or upset about what was going on in the back or what she was doing. She was scared of what her father and grandfather were going to do to her because she hadn't earned enough money yet. That's why she was hyper. And she said it over and over again. Now, what kind of living hell is her life that taking care of 15 grown men back there didn't bother her? But she's scared of her grandfather and father. So anyway, it's continuing. So I reported it. I did not call the management. Screw them. They know what's going on. And they said they had already known that the manager had found the other videos I put up about the system in the back. So they decided they had to do something. So, because of the videos, because of this, the manager did not talk to me. She didn't talk to me for over a month. She'd stay in her office, run to the bathroom, run out the door, everything. Didn't say a word to me. Then, the week after this happened, she came out of her office, started talking to me because she saw me wiping everything down. I got in the habit during COVID to use a great big bleach wipe to wipe everything at the store down before I started my shift. Wipe the machine down, wipe the phone, the screens, everything's touchscreen, this type of stuff. I wiped it all down. She came out and specifically asked me, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm COVID, so I'm wiping everything down." "Oh, okay." And she left. That was the first thing she said to me in over a month since this happened, since she found the videos. The next week, the next Saturday, she hadn't said anything to me all week. The next Saturday, I'm wiping down again. She comes out again. I said, "Wipe it down again." She goes, "How often do you do that?" I said, "Before every shift." She goes, "What do you wipe down?" And I said, the monitor, the keyboard, the touch screen, everything. And she's watching, and she wants to know exactly what I wiped down. And she actually tried to get me to leave the store for a couple hours and come back. She said, "I'll watch it for you. You can go get it back." They actually wanted my wife to sign a piece of paper. And she goes, "I'll watch it for you." Nothing. That was the day I got sick. Now, for some reason, that particular day, they changed the entire touchscreen system up there behind the counter from a great big module, and we have pictures of it, to a little tiny keypad one that you have to use your fingers on. Because before I used to use the little soft touch pen they had there. I didn't actually touch it. The place is disgusting. I don't touch anything in there. I used to carry paper towels constantly because I wouldn't touch doorknobs. You know what everybody's doing in there, and I'm not touching doorknobs. But they changed everything where it was a tiny keypad. We have pictures of it. We'll show you. Great big module sitting up there to little teeny keypad.
Yep, well, I'm showing them now. Keep going.
Right, okay. That night, I got sick. Went to the hospital. Finally, I've never had these problems. Actually, I got sick that night, went to the hospital the next day, and couldn't take it. I mean, my head was splitting. There was something different. I get migraines. I get stuff. I get scar tissue in my spine. Pressure builds up. I get monster migraines, things like this. I've never had these symptoms. I had the entire left side of my body go out. No strength, no coordination. Couldn't feel it. Couldn't even make it to the car. Almost fell on a person in a restaurant. And never had these symptoms, so they're thinking, oh crap, what is this, stroke or something? So I went to the hospital. They tested stuff. They did blood work, which was good. They thought perhaps, diabetes or something. And so I do have all the blood tests. Now, my right index finger near the nail split wide open, like a hot dog in a microwave. And down the side, and it still hurts, like somebody beat it with a hammer. So apparently I touched it with my finger. The testing they did in the hospital showed extremely elevated leukocytes, a couple other things. Now, they were not testing for poison. Nobody knew at the time. But the tests they did showed that there was a presence of something there that would affect these. So what was the poison? It sounds very soap opera to me, poison, very James Bondish. But organophosphates will do the same thing. They'll have the exact same response on the body. Now, after I left the hospital, I collapsed. That was it. I was done. I was bedridden for days and days and days. It got worse. It got exponentially worse. My head was spinning so bad that even the scrape of sheets on my cheek, and I would retch from head to toe, just barf continuously. Kept nothing down. I couldn't eat or drink for days. Could not leave the bed. I could not walk. I could not make it to the restroom. I crawled. It got much, much worse for over a week. Never felt anything like that, and I've been through some crap. Physical pain is one thing, but once inside your head, it's hard to fight. All I could concentrate on was praying and the Lord. That was it. I'm not exaggerating. That was the only thing I could focus on. And I'll tell you how bad it was. I even says, Lord, if this is permanent, if there's damage, if my life includes a part of this in it, I said, I won't be around here long. Guarantee that. So it's clearing up. Now, organophosphates are used overseas mostly. They're used in the production of insecticides and other things. And the owner of this place, and many others, lives up in Chicago. And he happens to be of Indian descent. And his cousin, he has a few businesses, his cousin sends him things every couple of weeks. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Mm-hmm. It's not all legit, but they space it out and they do it at odd times, at odd weeks. It's not routine, so it doesn't get caught. Now, this particular type of poison, where it is extremely rare in the U.S., it is extremely common in India and in Southern Asia. And it's very common there for suicides because you can buy it over the counter. Like you go into 7-Eleven and get a 5-hour energy. You can actually buy this stuff. So it's easy enough to buy and send over. It's not illegal there. And the suicides over there use this as a very common way of doing it. Now, it's used in farming to protect grains and stuff, insecticide. Farmers will get exposed to it, and they can usually tell when they've had too much exposure from handling or a leak because their fingers will swell up. Sometimes they split. Once the exposure stops, you can usually recover. There's hardly ever any damage. Maybe in about 20% of the cases, there will be some permanent damage. Depends on how much you got. And even people who do suicide, they'll drink a ton of it. What I went through was horrific. I can't imagine what they go through. But once their stomach is lavaged and they're recovering, they're given fluids, things like this, and they're monitored, you can recover. But your body, to protect itself, will store the poison in your fat cells. And I got a whole lot of storage on me now because I'm ballooned up again. Okay, so it's leaching out. So even though I was up and moving, I had blinding headaches, like a spike through my right eye. One eye felt much bigger than the other one. Through the top of my head down into my shoulder, spike. And anything would trigger. It was permanent. It kept going. And towards the evening when I would get tired, or like when I drove out and spoke recently at the Elk Lodge, the driving and sitting and everything triggered it. So it was starting there. but I was certainly not at my best. Like I said, I'm not the person that makes excuses. I don't like them, but I will offer an explanation. And if I screw something up, I'll admit it. I'll work like hell to fix it. It's just what you do. But apparently I was okay out there. So the poison was in the system. We had the medical records back up what there was something going on now. I said, it sounds weird, sounds unusual. Keep in mind that the owner of these places has done this before. Exactly the same thing. To his wife. Now, she was a lovely woman, very kind. I met her one time. Lots of hair, and it was gorgeous. Okay? And she was a very nice wife. But he became rich over here. All these stores, multiple states, other businesses. He's a multimillionaire. His guest house is enormous. He's got a lot to lose. Well, when he found his 25-year-old girlfriend, and he's thinking divorce, well, his wife's going to lose all because they don't have a prenup. He didn't like that. So he did this to his wife. Now, this was about 2 years ago. He did the exact same thing to his wife. Wife's perfectly healthy, had a physical. She had just been to her OBGYN, had blood work, everything, completely healthy. She was in her early 50s. And after the weekend, totally crashed. They didn't know what it was. Because it's not common in this country. They didn't know what it was. They had no idea what was doing it to her. They were checking viruses and infections, everything. This was actually right before COVID, so they weren't thinking COVID at all, and it has nothing to do with it. She totally crashed. She was so bad, she started having organ failure. Now, these poisons, organophosphates, will cause organ failure. My leukocytes were way up because it shuts off liver function. Hers was much more severe, much more continuous. I got a hell of a dose. They weren't messing around. They were trying to kill me. She got much more.
And
She
where
was
is
probably
she
eating
now?
stuff for a weekend. Yeah. The plan was to get rid of her and be filthy rich with his young, pretty girlfriend. Met her, too. He used to travel with her. And a pretty girl talks like a drunk sailor who cusses like a Marine. Okay, it's so weird to hear her talk. But his wife did not die. They induced a coma for like 10 months just to try and clean out her system, and she did not die. However, she's a complete vegetable.
Wow.
She cannot breathe on her own. She cannot talk. She cannot communicate. She is at home, and she has a 24/7 nurse, and they built a hospital room for her at home. And he has his children, the younger ones, say goodbye to her in the mornings when they go for school, but she can't respond. So he's turned her into a complete vegetable. She's in a prison for the rest of her life because of this. Now, how do we know this? He didn't volunteer it. No, but his girlfriend did, because now that his wife is not out of the picture, and he has to spend more time with the wife and taking care of her, and extra money, all that extra cash that he skims is going to the wife's care and not to his girlfriend and his trips to Vegas. He's not seen her anymore. She dumped him. But she lets everyone know that he better keep up the payments on the apartment, the car, all the bills, all that stuff. Or else, because she lets everyone know what she's got on him. And this was a plan that he came up with, and she was a part of it. So he's done this before. Now you have a manager coming out here specifically asking me what I wipe down, and then all of a sudden they change the equipment to where it's equipment you have to touch, all touchpad, and I get sick. What a weird coincidence. So it's happened, and I still feel it. It's been a month. I have, the back of my head now is very sore. It feels like somebody hit me with a baseball bat. My jaw on the right side of my face is numb. I keep biting myself. I have not been able to taste anything or smell anything except burning metal. I've been told that I smell like burning metal. Like if I sweat or anything like that, or I'm hot, that I have a weird, like, burning metal smell to me, because it's coming out of my pores, almost like if you've been on a big drink or something like that. You can smell it. So I got a big dose. They weren't kidding around. And they knew where to put it. And they weren't really coy about it, because I guess they didn't think I'd be around to question them. So many people told me that after I put the videos up, I overstayed my welcome. They're probably right, but had I not continued on, I would not have been able to get that girl out of there. It pisses me off that they're still bringing children in there, and I did not stop it entirely. Now, like I said earlier, it is a violation of U.S. code. It is a felony to poison me, to attempt to murder, to attack a candidate or an elected official, things like that, under different rules. And the local police did not care. It makes one wonder where all that cash is going, because they're just trying to shut it down. They don't want it to know. They don't want anybody to know. Keep it quiet.
And
they like to get the feds involved.
And as a reminder to everyone, we did seek out, what John said earlier, we did seek out local law enforcement. And we turned all of this information over to them. In 2 jurisdictions. We tried for more, but 2 jurisdictions, they at least looked at it. We gave sworn testimony in one because it was video recorded. And we got no response. So, where are the heads of these local law enforcement? Are they complicit? Are they associated? We don't know that, but it certainly raises the question. Because why doesn't everyone feel like this? Just as I said before, like, you imagine that picture of that little girl is your daughter or your son or whatever child. Like, why doesn't that hit home to most people? And yeah, I mean, there's a comment right now that says, so basically law enforcement there is compromised. Yes and no. I mean, we have so many good cops that are around, but well, this is going to be my campaign thing here right now, is local law enforcement, what you would consider county or city police or state police or any other police force other than the sheriff's office, because the sheriff is the only elected law enforcement officer, is controlled by the state. And when you're controlled by the state, that means you're adhering to one political party. So in our jurisdictions, the county police are controlled and appointed. The chiefs and the commissioners, they're appointed by the executive branch, whether it be a county executive or the governor. And when they're appointed, they're beholden to them. And then there's another entity, which is another executive branch member, maybe like a county executive or a city council, that they're beholden to. So where in it does it do anything for the people when you raise a concern like this? It's all corrupt. So my plug is, at least in Baltimore County, elect me as sheriff, because I will work for the people. I want to be elected by the people, and I will be for the people. I'm sure John knows this as well. We have to get this done. We have to expose these things.
It's happening. It's happening now. They think they got rid of the problem, me. What they're doing, they don't think is a problem. They're making a lot of money off of it. I mean, thousands a week cash. And they think they got rid of me, the problem, and it's continued. I don't know if that girl's been back up there, but she's been there before. She probably will be. I'll say this about the law enforcement. We support them. And I give credit where it's due. So we called Baltimore County Commissioner's Office. And we called them, and they were disgusted by what was happening, asked to call back, email and stuff, and we called, and they picked right up. They took it seriously. Okay? And they were just as disgusted. And they actually arranged for us to talk to a couple of Baltimore City detectives. And these are the people, the actual detectives, standing next to all the dead bodies in Baltimore. They're serious people. They're good investigators. They came out. They took it very serious. Okay? It didn't go anywhere because they had to report it up to the feds.
Yep.
Now, the other way, at the first county, We talked to them. They had to go past the state level to the Fed level. It went to the Fed level, but when it comes back into Maryland from the leadership through, governor's filter, it stops. So the officer that's out there on the street that sees this horrendous stuff, they took it seriously, and they were pissed. But once it got back down to leadership level through the governor's filter, through the Maryland, filter at the top, it stopped. And that's where we're at. Now, I've delayed it a little bit. I have a little bit of time, but I want to talk to the federal agents about pressing attempted murder charges and enforcing the going after a candidate stuff. They did it. They talked about it, and the same thing's happened to his wife because talked to the feds. It is a federal charge, and I'm willing to press the charges, attempted murder, whatever it may be, to at least expose what happened. And I said it's still leaching out of my system. I can still feel the effect, especially on the right side of my head. I'm still numb in the corner of my right jaw. But, thank the Lord, I am recovering, and it's not permanent as far as we know. They did CAT scans and stuff. And there's no bleeding, things like that, which is good. His wife was not as fortunate, but I'm sure she must have gotten much, much more. She's probably eating it for days and didn't know. Once in your system, it can stay in your system for 12 to 24 hours before you even have a side effect. And the side effect could be mild because your body stored it, and then it hits you all at once. So could have been ingesting it for days and not know it. But she has years of medical records to corroborate everything. So I will talk, I'm willing to talk to the feds and discuss what was done and press the charges necessary to expose what's still going on. And because of the poisoning, Mr. Profiter introduced me as recently poisoned, that's where it came from. So, like I said, didn't realize how debilitated I was at the time when I was trying to speak. And I ended up bending over because I'm getting dizzy, and you look up and the whole room is doubled in population because, now I'm seeing double again. So I'm trying to wink at people and see just one of them. But I can talk now. You've heard me talk, whether I'm breathing heavy or not, because I was up there about 10 minutes, and that was it. Mind show up, couldn't talk, and started taking questions. And I can talk for more than 10 minutes. I just did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
well, you have Love from New Zealand, a first-time chat viewer tonight.
Well, thank you.
So this is, in essence, the reach that you have put out there. The things that you have done, the things that you have talked about that have come true, especially, and what you have espoused as a person, not necessarily a candidate, has reached people across the world. Now, we're talking about local things and these very important things, and I just want to ask you one other question about the system, because the picture's up there right now, and then we'll get more into the campaign stuff. We wanted to put the kids and your poisoning in the forefront, no doubt. But well, actually, two questions. So the first question is about the system. We're looking at the new system, the handheld or the propped up on the post there of where it says new card number, existing card number, arcade status, sales sessions, sign out. Can you explain each of those categories as you've had to use them in real time?
Sure. That is the system to sell someone a ticket so they can go into those booths where they're watching child porn. Now, there's over 1 million movies on there now. What you do is, when they buy a ticket, usually about $5, you can put as much as you want on it. It generates a random code. They go in the back, put the code in, and that's their time. And they can watch whatever they want. There's even live shows. That's the side where they exploit it and have kids on it. But they're going online, and now it's very common, but they're going online and buying other codes. $100, $500, whatever. And they go and they buy a $5 ticket, go in the back, sign in with the code I sold them, whoever, then they put the other code in, and that takes them to the child porn sites. And it's gotten so prevalent that you can buy the codes on Twitter. I was screen grabbing stuff. They're actually advertising stuff on Twitter to buy these codes. And so that's what it is. Now, the system prior to when they changed it was it was a big it was like a big triangle, like a big pyramid-shaped thing on there. We have a picture of it.
Yeah,
and
I'll look for that now. Go ahead.
Yeah. And you'll see it as much larger. It sits on the countertop. It's a big one. And that's what they changed. So they changed it. Now, that big system, you could work it with a pencil. We had a soft touch thing. If you blow it up, you can actually see a little soft touch pen, the thing that you can use. It's right in front. And that's what I used because I didn't want to touch anything. That place is gross. But so anyway, that's the system we've had for way over a year when they put it in. Well, all of a sudden, keep in mind this is after they found the videos, all of a sudden, they changed it to one that is bolted in place and you have to touch it with your finger. Nothing else works. And this is right after she's asking me, what do you wipe down? So they specifically want to know, what do you wipe down? This kind of stuff. And, she wanted to know basically want to know where to put the poison. What am I going to touch? So, and there's no telling how much I got or anything like that. I can't tell, but it must have been quite a bit because I stored a lot. And organophosphate stuff will go through the skin. There are several things that will.
Now, regarding organophosphates, is there a particular compound that you may be aware of that may have penetrated your skin, as you mentioned?
Well, you can, like I said, you can purchase it in India. They use it in insecticides. It's a compound. You can buy it. You can buy it as a liquid. Things like this. You can buy it. You can buy one version as a powder, but mostly a liquid. And you mix your own. That's how the farmers are getting exposed to it, where they put it in a bucket, they're used to it, they splash it in, they dump it in, they dump the other stuff in, they're mixing it, and they get it on them. Okay? So that's why people drink it at the time of suicide. It comes in mostly a liquid form. And that's what they're trying to use for suicide. So they sent one over, that's all. And all they had to do is wipe it down. Put it on a piece of cotton or something, put it on a rubber glove, wipe it down. You're going to touch it. They could have wiped down the whole place. I would have known it. You don't see it. You can't smell it. And sooner or later, I touched something. But they changed the system where you had to touch it just beforehand, just before I got sick. I got sick that night. That was the first night I worked with that new system, and that was the night I got sick, a few hours afterwards.
Yeah, it only makes sense. That's for sure.
And if it was something weird, I've been there for a while. It's not like you touch something new or whatever. And I don't touch anything in there because the place is gross. But the same thing happened to his wife. And we know it through the girlfriend, who was mad at her for living and taking all her money. So, yes, she's a lovely person herself. So we know what happened.
Now, I'm still trying to find the picture of the old system, the pyramid-looking thing. I got a lot of pictures in here for the last 2 years, but as I'm searching for that, I just want to put a reminder out there to everyone that this man, Jon McGreevey, has put his life on the line to expose these things. He's done it before. Like, you have a history of being a good guy and suffering the consequences for it, and you have no self-preservation, and you just want the right thing to be done. We've seen the federal agents. I've seen them personally. John has as well. I mean, or seemingly federal agents, I'll say. I mean, I guess that's the best way to put it. I waved to them. They were there. They were out back. I've been in the booth. I've seen how much of a cesspool it really is. And it most certainly needs to be exposed, but not for the cesspool that most adults, I would say, engage in with other adults. No, that doesn't come into question at all. It's for the fact that you talked about kids, you showed kids, you did things with kids, and it's most important to me. I really think capital punishment, especially for this instance, or all the instances like this around the world that are happening right now, needs to come back. People have to be held accountable for these actions. And I'll say it again. Imagine if it were your child. Imagine if you had your child just go missing, or you found out.
Like, is there like 3 or 4 hours of your child's home alone when you have to work and you get home later? It happened during there. And you have these people that are putting the movies in the back. They're catfishing. They're getting kids online and do stuff. They blackmail, manipulate them, whatever, and then they put it online and make money. So it's happening.
It's absolutely abhorrent.
And I'm not a prude. We had lots of adults come in, and adults and other adults, and have fun. I don't care. You're adults. That's between you two and your wife and whoever. Okay? And some guy wants to come in, put on women's underwear, be a bad girl. Okay. Leave me out of it. But you're adults. It's when the kids are involved, they said, I'll burn your crap down in a second. Almost did. So, no, not happening. I'm not going to stand by. Now, I'll tell you that the one guy who was working, the one who let her in, I mentioned before that they were not even allowed to have anyone under 18 on the parking lot. He let her in the back. Now, this guy's got a history as a registered offender. Way back, but he does have one. They offered him $100 to let her go in the back so she could make money for him, or he could have his first turn with her. He went back twice. He didn't take the money. And he's still working there. They got rid of me, they kept him.
Wow. Well, that's just disgusting. For the sake of time, though, I can't find this picture right now of the old
That's
system.
Fine. I text you a couple just if you want to find them later. It's fine. The little pad looks the same, but it's a much larger system, and I probably have to edit it anyway because there's a bunch of phone numbers on the side. But we'll put up like a half a picture or something, whatever. But it's the same keypad, the lighted part, same commands. And it's just they took this great big system out and put in a little teeny one you had to touch. And then they're asking, will you wipe down? So they knew what they were doing. It was intentional. So it's because of that. Like I said, I've been through crap before, but this was not easy. This was bad.
And you said those words to me as well. Like, John has been tortured, okay? He has been tortured. We'll leave names out of this for right now, but he has been tortured within an inch of his life. And he told me that this was far worse than what he experienced. And I'm mute it right now, John, because I'm just going to explain a little bit about it. The torture he endured, he was force-fed crushed glass. He was waterboarded with diesel fuel and kerosene, hence all the breathing that you guys hear. And he was kicked in his stomach repeatedly, that his intestines distended from his rectum, and he had to put them back in. With his medical training, he was able to do it without tying them in a knot and, killing himself from within. But this was far worse. The pain, it's right in your head. It's right there all the time. The migraines, the seeing double, the unable to speak. I wasn't able to speak to Jon because
I tried.
Yeah, he couldn't. Yeah, he could not.
I couldn't speak.
He's belligerent. So, and I can tell you, I could probably take some screenshots too of the messages between us. It definitely didn't sound like he was all there.
I wasn't. It was not easy. I'm not a wimp, okay? I've never been a wimp in my life. I handle pain very well. You blow my arm off, I'm going to pick it up and beat you to death with it. Because I'm not going away. But when it's inside your head and it's internal like that, you can't fight it. You just have to get through it. So it was very different and very, very difficult and extremely uncomfortable, and I still have it. So I will not be doing any more undercover work. I'm glad I got that little girl out there because all the pain I went through is worth it to save her half a day of pain.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much I saved her because she's still suffering because nobody's done anything. But what it breaks down to is this is who I am. I actually go out and do the work. If people dying in Baltimore, I go out, get a job, put self in danger, take a pay cut. Everything's worse so that I can save lives for people I don't know.
Yeah.
Save a little girl. I went in there to document stuff to cut down the drugs, to save lives, to get the kids out there, put myself in danger, put family in danger. Because this is what I'm going to do when I'm in office. If you hire me to do that job, if I'm elected, I will continue it. Why? Because I'm doing it now. This is what I've always done. I'm not going to stop. You have a lot of people talking, I'll do this, I'll do that. Then they get up there and all they do is sign checks. Your money, our money. But that's their idea of good intentions. You ask them, what are they doing right now? Jack shit's what they're doing right now, okay?
Yep.
Not to be crude, but that's what they're doing. They're talking. It's like, what, you didn't have any ideas? You couldn't volunteer? You couldn't help before you became a candidate? You couldn't do anything? Sure you could. You just didn't. Now you're full of good ideas.
And we
So I'm
we
leading
see
into
it every day. And,
campaign stuff, yeah.
Yeah, we see it every day. These elected officials or representatives, or air quotes out the ass right now. And it's an election year, so everybody's out there giving everybody a plaque and saying, good job for having a business, or good job for doing this, or whatever. I am the comptroller, and yeah, vote for me for governor, by the way. Yeah, so those things are certainly happening all around us, and people just have to open their eyes and be cognizant of the facts. And what Jon is providing right now is facts. These are facts of what is going on beneath the surface. He's jumped into it. We've communicated on it, and we're trying as best as we can to bring it to light. We've reached out to child advocacy groups. We've reached out to law enforcement. But we've reached out to mainstream media. There is no play. No one is doing anything about this. This is why we are talking about it right now, because this is what is called a public outcry. We did it before on, 3 different occasions, and here's the 4th, or here's the 3rd, whatever. We are informing the public. Yeah, we're running for office. So what? Not so what, because elect us and we'll fix everything.
Well,
but
I was doing this for years. I've been doing this since 2005.
Yeah.
Okay, and didn't expect anything for it, and not asking for anything now. I was working undercover this one long before I registered to run for office. I'm not doing it for votes. I did to save lives. And people would follow me on Twitter, thank you, and later moved over to Telegram and stuff. And I put stuff out there. I give you the information that's coming so you can make the right decision.
Right.
Either now or when it happens. So many politicians, they get this word salad, and everybody's heard it. And that's because they won't commit to anything. They won't tell you anything because they're so afraid of being wrong. They don't want a soundbite showing that they're wrong because then it damages them. So they get out there and they'll talk for an hour and tell you nothing. I don't do that. I tell you right up front what's coming. Months or weeks or years out, I'll tell you what's coming, and here it comes. I said a couple weeks ago. I said a couple months ago, there's going to be food rationing, and they eventually want to do the rationing, but there's going to be food shortages. Here it is. And the baby formula one is not by accident, you know. And I said a couple weeks ago, I said, it's not, you know, the baby formula is going to be short. It's not by accident because they want you to think, oh, I'm stressed over feeding my child. I should have aborted it. And they've said it. They've admitted it now. Horrible. So what we're seeing in D.C. is not leadership. What we're seeing is writing bills and things like that because they want a different outcome down the road. They'll write the dumbest crap, make it sound as good as they can, hope it gets through because they know it's not going to work and they want the outcome of it because it suits their agenda. Yeah. And that's why I want to run for Senate. That's why I am running for Senate, because I want to keep the crazy contained down there in D.C. I'm a wall. I look at the Senate as a wall that will keep everything contained, and it's one last shot to keep it from hurting the American public, from hurting the people of Maryland. That's why I'm running.
So Jon McGreevey for U.S. Senate. We'll go into the campaign stuff right now. I'm trying to keep this as brief as possible, but I'm looking at your palm card here.
Okay.
So at the top of it, you know, you have your picture and what you're running for, and then you say you're ensuring Marylanders have an effective voice in government to protect our rights.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that? What that actually means to you in representing people?
No, I can't. There you go. Yeah, of course I can. Yeah. It was funny to say it. Sure. We're not, like I said, we're not getting the information we need. The people they're like, they won a race. They won an election. They think they won something. Now they deserve a prize. It becomes all about them. So they get access to information we don't have. And they keep it. That doesn't mean they understand it, but they keep the access there because it makes them feel special. I'm important now. And they don't tell you. And I do. I will. And they control everything. So they will allow stuff to come through because it's better for them. They make a deal. They benefit. Look how many of them get rich. And they won't tell you. And then by the time it gets out to the actual state level, to us, it's horrible. It changes your life. It changes this, changes that, and it makes everything worse. We don't need any new laws. You know, they're not enforcing the other ones.
Amen, brother.
So I tell people what's coming. I've done this for years. You can see it. People have tracked it. They know it. I tell people what's coming, what they need to hear, what's going on. Now, I've had people ask me, and thank you to people who have asked me, and you know, they ask good questions. They're like, you know, how do I know when, you know, if you get elected, then you're not going to change? Everybody seems to change when they get in there.
When you're
well, I'll tell you how to change. Yeah, when I'm elected, thank you. I'll tell you why they change. I call this the birth of a rhino, okay? And this is how it happens. You want to know where rhinos come from? Well, the mommy rhino and the daddy rhino go out and have wine for dinner. No, okay.
I saw Ace Ventura Part 2.
Hit the mute. No. I call this the birth of a rhino. This is where they come from. You have people who will get pissed. They get upset. They want to run for something. And they have good intentions, and they're good people. Okay? And we have a lot of them this round. But they have no real background to deal with the people already elected. Okay? If you look at the people elected, most of them are extremely well educated. They've been there a long time, sometimes way too long, and they know the ins and outs of government. So when these new people get in there, now think of the brand new people, first termers that are going into Congress. Okay, Congress and the Senate affect the lives of everybody in this country. They affect the country for decades. This is not where you go for on-the-job training. You know? So we have these very well-intentioned people, but have no background to deal with anybody in government on their own terms. They have no experience with it. So when they get in there, they don't want to seem like they're lost or they can't do the job or that they lied to get elected or anything like that. They want to seem like they know what's going on, so they go along with the stuff. And that's where you get rhinos from. They don't have the backbone or the knowledge or the background to stand there and say, no, that's crap and I'm not doing it. Because they want to be nice to them. They want this, that, that. I can tell you right now, the people up there don't like me anyway. 95% of Congress doesn't like me already. I have exposed, enough rhino corruption and abuse as I have, almost as I have on the Democrat side, because I don't take the crap. As far as background, not to brag, I'm not bragging at all, but I was working on projects. I designed and tested encryption algorithms way back when nobody even heard of the NSA. It was still secret. And this was for the NRO. Okay, it was all to do with satellites. But I had secret clearances long before I had a learner's permit, right? Actually, a funny part of it, I had so many clearances, I didn't get a learner's permit for years. I didn't actually get a license until I was in the military. I would drive around with no license, because if I got pulled over, I'd just show them one of my cars. They'd like, okay, have a good day. So that's what's doing, honestly. But anyway, I worked very young, and I had access to it. I was very good at math. I love it. It's interesting. It's fun for me. My family's with the government. My grandfather used to run Edgewood Arsenal back when it was still secret inside the proving ground, this type of stuff. So I had access to the military, and I was introduced to them early, so this is how it happened. And then later on went into NRO, design satellites, things like that. So I have the background for it. Then military, then military intelligence, and the intelligence community. I have the background to deal with the people in D.C. on their own terms. And more than that, the people get in there and they think they're special because they have access to programs, developments, information that you don't have. And they act like they control it. And let me tell you something. I was one of the people who provided that information, who worked on these projects. And the people like in D.C., they don't understand it. They don't understand it any better than a normal person. Because that's all they are, normal people. And I can tell you they don't understand it because when you went up for funding, they couldn't do the math, they didn't understand it, so you had to give it a cool name, like Deep Space Nine or Star Wars. That way the people thought they understood it and they'd fund it. Okay? So I was already one of the people behind the scenes who worked on these projects, who provided the information that made them feel so special. So when I get down there, I'm not happy already. Because they control the information. And they controlled it by funding it with our money. But they controlled it acting like they were special. That's like stealing somebody's work, and I don't do that. So, and I'm already unpleased with them because of that. And like I said, they already don't like me. I was kicked out of the building one time for asking a rude question to one of them. I won't repeat it here. But I'm not intimidated or impressed by anybody down there. I'm not there to be their friend. So when I get there, there's the door. You don't have to come in my office, you don't like it, but I'm not here to go along with your plans. I'm here not to cover for your sick ass. I'm here to represent Maryland, and I'm going to tell them what they need to know. Because I work for them, not you. And I'm big enough, and smart enough, and mean enough, and tough enough to do that. And you have other people who have none of that background. And I don't want them to have a bad time. I'm not going to down toward them because I'm happy that they're coming out. I'm happy they want to get involved. It's a good thing. But, get some experience. You got to learn what's going on. You got to be able to talk to people in their own terms. And I can. And I'm going to use that for Maryland.
Amen, brother. That was just the first line of your palm card. I don't think we have to have a palm card. Maybe we should have a palm scroll or something like that. Put it on some papyrus. Damn. The second point on your palm card.
See, I can talk for more than 10 minutes without passing out. See, I can do it.
Exactly. We're trying to bring some light air to the
I do have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
I throw that out there. You probably tell people who follow me on Twitter, no, I do.
Exactly.
There's a lot of points on the palm card, and one guy on the Elks Lodge threw a palm card at me because he didn't like one of them. But there's one on there towards the bottom, the second from bottom. It says Vets on Patrol, Veterans on Patrol. So let me just specify what that is real quick, because there's actually an older organization out there called Vets on Patrol, VOP. They're the ones who found some child encampments in Arizona, things like that, and a lot of them got arrested. So it's not connected to them in any way. It's entirely different. Veterans on Patrol. So we're hoping to start here in Maryland, and we have honorably discharged military veterans who can fill in with the police department. Police departments are undermanned. They don't have enough people. We have officers going into the worst areas by themselves, no protection, no backup, and that shouldn't happen. We have, I always trust our military. Our military people are highly trained and extremely motivated, and they've already served. And if I ask them again to serve their community, they'd stand up first. I know it. So we want honorably discharged veterans to ride along as auxiliary officers, as police officers, backing up the officers who have the experience right there on the street. And I'm sure most of them will do it just for medical coverage or something. But you have highly trained, most of them combat experienced at this point, armed, riding around. Now, we have crime in Baltimore, and it's disgusting. People are dying every day, every night. You lay down and go to sleep, how many people are going to die? A lot. Tried to stop it. There's other ways to curb it. The problem with the crime in Baltimore, just like the crime at the store, is people are not asking themselves the questions they used to. If you're going to go out and commit a crime, you're like, what if I get caught? What if I do this? What if I go to prison? Whatever. No. The only question they're asking themselves anymore is, why not? They're not going to be prosecuted. If they have a gun, they're not going to be prosecuted for it. If I go out and rob somebody, rob a store, I'm not going to be caught. And if I am caught, I'm not going to be prosecuted. So why not? That's the wrong question to ask. See, if we had armed veterans riding around with the police department backing them up, if people were allowed to carry whenever they felt the need in Maryland, a right to carry. It's my body, my choice. I choose to protect my body from unwanted harm, and that includes anything medical. So I will carry a sidearm to protect myself. You can't have it one way. It's got to go both ways. But if we had people out there, veterans riding around with the police department, veterans on patrol, backing them up, then the criminals, as a lot of times the same people over and over again, they'd ask different questions in their head. They wouldn't say, why not? Why not go rob somebody? Why not go shoot somebody? They'd say, what if one of the veterans is in there and they cut me in half? Then it changes in their head, and they hesitate, and they don't. This is how you cut down crime. That's just to prosecute them. I know the veterans would, we've already talked to people. I know some of them would think and plus, like I said, a lot of people see the police officers as the enemy right now, which is unfortunate. And when a police officer or law enforcement comes into their neighborhood, they see it as an invasion. But if you have a veteran, I know there's veterans in the neighborhood. If there's a veteran in the neighborhood in the car with them, they know the area.
I got one across the street.
Yeah. They won't see it as an invasion because they know him. He's their neighbor. And he's there doing a good job. He's there to protect them. That man or woman is in uniform again. And they take it seriously, just like they should. So that's what the Veterans on Patrol is. It's not connected to the other agency, whatever their organization, whatever they're doing. But it's on the palm card. I'm going to explain what it means. With the veterans to back up the police so that crime slows down, law enforcement has backup, they're not getting hurt. And we have people already well trained and well experienced.
Now, all right. Well, that kind of coincides with another thing on your palm card, which is support for military, law enforcement, and frontline workers. One other thing that I want to ask you about on your palm card for you to elaborate on is the focus on modern educational programs. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. I have teachers in my family. My stepsister's teacher, so is her husband. Very, very tall teachers. Mm-hmm. He's over 7 foot. But I see the teaching from I'm the littlest one in the family. I see the teaching from the ground there where they're at. And they teach at some of the worst schools. They've been threatened, all kinds of stuff, even the size they are. But They don't care. They want to teach. That's what they're there for. They want to be a teacher. I see the teachers there. But we can do better with education. Once it gets up into management and everything gets foggy, it gets very political. As the kids that suffer. And they're graduating children who can't read and write. And then they say to themselves, well, I don't want to not give them a diploma because they earn more, they get better jobs with a diploma, so we'll just give them a diploma, even though they can't back it up. They can't read and write. They can't do basic math. So they give them a diploma that doesn't mean anything just so they can get a better job when they know they can't do it. So nobody was being taught. And I want to change it. I mean, now's a good time. You know, COVID has messed things up. A lot of stuff is online. A lot of people working from home. We can do a 3-step process where there's traditional in-class learning, but also a portion of it online. And the parents can be involved in the online stuff. The online will monitor the other sides. And then I'd like some type of apprenticeship. Okay, you can shadow people. Now, this is still done in some place, but you kind of hunt it up for yourself. And we can do the other stuff. It doesn't have to be you're shadowing the doctor, you're shadowing the nurse. No, there's other stuff you can do. You can apprentice at different stuff, different levels. And that way we have people graduating who are not only competent, who can do this stuff, but they already know a job. Whatever it may be, they're already coming out into a world with skills. And so help them. They have confidence. So I'd like to see basically a 3-star, and it goes to grad school too. It's like overseas, if you get a medical degree, generally you go into a 6-year program after high school. So you go in, and it's a 6-year, and they call it a bachelor, a BAMD, bachelor of medicine degree, and the first 2 years are hard sciences, and then medical school starts. We could do something like that here. Here it's completely different. You go to college, rack up the big bill, you go to medical school, then you match into residency, things like that. We could do a different one, especially a 6-year program for right out of high school, into it and do like a general practitioner or family medicine. We have shortages of these doctors because they are the lower paying specialties and people don't want it. I'm old enough to remember matching in, and nobody wanted ophthalmology because you were considered a glorified optometrist back then. And then they invented LASIK, and everybody wanted to go into ophtho because that's where the money was. So things do change. But I'm sure some of the old timers will remember when it changed big time. Because back then it was all the orthopedics and plastic surgery, and then rads. If you didn't get in, you'd go into radiology because you could do overtime making money. But things do change. But we could do a 3-step process. And I've apprenticed on different things myself. Even in my education, I apprenticed as a blacksmith because I was interested in it. And I still know it. I can make tools. If this was 200 years ago, I'd have a pretty good career going. But you can apprentice in, like law school. Law school could be 2 years, and you apprentice for a year. There's law firms that would love free workers. And then you get paid something or whatever. Or your college loans could help you out instead of going through the school. I'm not going to pay off. I have no interest in paying off your student loans. You signed it. I paid mine off. I paid off a fake one. Somebody took out my name, which was ridiculous. I even paid that one. And I went in the military. So they paid stuff. So there's ways to pay it. Go do it. But colleges now, they build things and all these puffed up courses, and you have to take 9 different garbage courses to get the one you need. You have 9 different prerequisites to get one valuable course. They're maxing it out, so you have to take the maximum amount of money out. I understand that, and that needs to be checked. The people are really upset about, gouging people and price hikes and stuff. Well, it happens in college every day. So these students would not owe that much if the colleges weren't doing that. So it's a way it needs to be visited, it needs to be looked at.
Yeah, that's like scintillating conversation there to understand what you want to do for the educational program. I love it. Everybody take heed. I want to take a couple of these questions that are in the chat. And one of them...
Okay, but I'm not going to shoot people on the border. Don't ask, please.
So, just wondering here, if prosecuted for such crimes, would medical castration stop this person from repeating? Wow. Devil's advocate question there. maybe I should answer that. Yeah, it's kind of eye for an eye. You know, read the Bible. If you commit child crimes or any crimes against a child that is sexual in nature, yeah, there should be consequences from it. And I think capital punishment is what would scare the bejesus out of anybody, no pun intended. But medical castration, it's something that I don't really know about. Do you want to touch on that? No, no pun intended, John.
Yeah, poor choice of words.
Yeah.
Chemical castration, garbage, absolute garbage. You're taking a bunch of, basically what you're doing is shooting up a bunch of estrogen if you're male. They're turning down your libido. And chemical castration is a dodge. It's garbage. It doesn't work. It only works physically, not psychologically. Basically, you're not getting an erection, so they think you're safe. You're not. There are predators who enjoy the hurting of a child or the killing of a child, so it doesn't stop them. The chemical castration only works if you take it. If you stop taking it or if you alter it, it's right back to where you were. It doesn't work.
No, medical.
I've said before,
well,
medical castration. Well,
yeah.
If like I said before, that if someone's guilty of these crimes of a child, they get 20 years minimum, no negotiation, no nothing, and the second one's life. I have unfortunately had to work and live with these scumbags in prisons. That's what I talked before about, where there's whole federal systems full of them. There's whole prisons of nothing but sex offenders. And the biggest deterrent that they had to just going crazy was being discovered. They lived in fear of being discovered, where their family, their co-workers, everything like that would find out what they were. Once they were arrested, convicted and stuff, that was gone. Everybody knew what they were. Most of them, it's like their wife left them, half their family still wrote to them, the other half wouldn't talk to them. It's similar to all of them. They still had maybe kids in there or a brother or sister who would write to them, help them out. The rest of them wouldn't talk to them. They all had a similar story. Almost always a wife would leave them, and they still had some contact with their family. But once that was out, they did not care. That's why the recidivism rate is so high. Once they got out, they're right back in. There were some of them 3-4 times they've been convicted. I told you about the one scary guy who should never get out, and he'll be out. He's due out in like 2025. He should not be anywhere on the street. They should shoot him before he leaves. And this is the way he's planning. But once they're found out, they don't care anymore. Everybody knows what they are. They don't hide it. That's why they're right back in a few months or a year.
And the other one was, were you working there for a real job, or were you there in order to expose this criminal activity, i.e. undercover? I may have missed this information. Yeah, you kind of.
Well, you're breaking up. I think I got the gist of it. No, that was not a real job. That was for undercover. The stuff I'd done in the past, from 2005, working for DOJ and Rod, and one of my favorite people, Rod, but working with them, I had been introduced to these people, and they'd been around the same orbit. So I was able to get in. I had a background that they could check and get in there. So it was in there to document originally the large drug shipments coming through and going into Baltimore.
All right. I think, we should take off there. Let me click a couple things. And all right, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. This is amazing. The revelations and the blanks that this guy, Jon McGreevey, has gone to protect children, to expose an entire system that goes nationwide. Thank you so much, John, for that. And you have removed self-preservation more than anyone I've ever come in contact with. And I aspire, and I am inspired by you to do the same. It's like everybody has to just take a minute, back up, and realize what the hell is going on. You have opportunities that smack you in the face every day. Again, imagine it's your child. Again, the guy who is exposing this, and we're talking about it here, is running for Senate. He is doing the work.
I can't do it anymore. I can't do the undercover anymore.
Well, obviously not.
I can't do it. And the cover's blown, so it ain't happening. Yeah, the officer blew that one quick.
Yeah,
so.
Well, that was the public outcry that we did originally that exposed you and I. We have to take certain measures when we leave our house every day, when we go to bed every night, for exposing these things. We need, especially Jon, the power of prayer, the power of the people behind this, because all of these people that are integrated in our society, that are doing these heinous acts to our children, are bad to the bone. No doubt.
Oh, they're horrible. I can't do it anymore. Like I said, I hope you hire me for the job. I hope I'm elected. I will continue to expose everything, because I've done it for real already. I'm not just talking to get elected. I have a history of this stuff. You can check court records. Going back 2005, I've done this. So I've really done it, and I'm just continuing it at a different level. If I'm elected, or I'll say when I'm elected, I'll think positive. And I never tell anybody who to vote for or anything like that. I hope you vote with me, but it's your decision. I just give you the information to help you make a decision. It's your decision, your person. And I elect someone who can deal with the people down there. You know what they're like. Who can deal with them on their own terms. Who's not intimidated, not impressed. And I'm not. I'm already irritated with most of them, and it's only going to get worse if I'm down there. So that's why I'm running. I will continue what I've been doing. Listen to the other people. They don't tell you anything. They don't make a prediction. They won't tell you what's coming. Just a lot of word salad and political garbage. It sounds good. Shake a few hands, grab a few votes, and they're on to the next one. And I'm not doing that.
Well,
we can actually get in and change stuff. We can improve life in Maryland.
Amen. Move Maryland forward, right? That's Jon's campaign.
Little by little, in 100 different ways.
Exactly. Listen to this man. He's going to help you. He is going to represent you. I mean, he's done things across the world you wouldn't believe. And we'll soon learn about all of it. But for now, support him. Spread the word far and wide. Jon McGreevey,
yes.
U.S.
Thank
Senator.
you. Yeah, it's not easy. It takes a lot of people. And a lot of people for votes, for a lot of support. It's ridiculous. It only costs a few $100 to register to run, but then they want you to just whip $10 million out of your pocket. It's ridiculous. But we're doing it. We're doing the best we can with what little we got, because we can make a difference. I'm running for U.S. Senate for Maryland. I'm running against Chris Van Hollen. Chris has got a lot of issues that we'll discuss later. During COVID, his big leadership move was to take a lot of vacations. He was gone almost the entire 2 years because he didn't want to be infected by us, the people. So there's your leadership that you got now. Yeah. And we need somebody else in there.
It's sickening. Let's get some fresh new faces. Let's get involved. Like, if you guys aren't running, get involved by registering to be a poll watcher or an election judge or whatever. We were so short on them for, I don't know however many the past elections that we've had, but the participation isn't there. Let's get there. Thank you all for watching tonight, and God bless Jon McGreevey.
Thank you, everyone. We were expecting other people. Turned out to be us, and that's good. We got a lot done. I have proven that I can talk for more than 10 minutes and not pass out and see double. You know it's bad when the giant elk on the wall is looking at you, so you know something's going on. But I hope I make it back down there. There's some nice people down there. And thank you, everyone. Please stay safe. Please consider what we said and do what you can. And I appreciate it.
Yep. All right, guys. Good night. God bless.
Step aside. Everyone that I